Listeners beware, you're in for a scare.
G'day mates, welcome back to Nightmare on Fear Street, an R.L. Stein podcast, and today we've got a real bloody ripper of an episode for all you grouse blokes and Sheilas. This week, me mate Zacko decided to come and take a sickie from Goosebumps and join me for a cheeky little Captain Cook at a true blue fair dinkum forgotten gem of the 1990s. That's right, you bloody dingoes. This week we're reading Body Parts, which is the 9th book in the Hair Raiser series by Australian author Margret Clark. I promise I'm not going to talk like that the whole episode. Please do not unsubscribe. If you understood any of that, you get a prize. Anyway, yeah, that's right. I have, as we discussed last week, this episode is a wholesome, Australian-grown Goosebumps ripoff called Hair Raisers by Margret Clark.
A.k.a. Lee Stryker.
And the funniest thing about this is she makes no attempt to say that she doesn't even say that her name is Lee Stryker. She literally, on her website, said, well, I only published these books under the name Lee Stryker so that they would be next to the Goosebumps books at the bookstore and that you would buy them.
Yeah,
I appreciate her honesty.
Honest.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, she's honest.
Okay, do you want me to read the back or do you want to have the honor? So, Zach, how the bloody hell are you?
Doing good. Yeah, I'm not gonna try to do it in an Australian accent. I'm just gonna keep talking.
Please don't.
I'm not. I'm gonna talk in my regular California, New Mexican accent.
Yeah.
So we had a fun time this week. We actually got to spend time, and I got to talk to my friend Gabriel, where we did the Indiana Jones Choose Your Own Fate that was written by R.L. Stein. And that's going to be a really fun episode coming up.
So you've been reading R.L. Stein books with other people. Is that how it is, Zach?
Oh, yeah, you know, it's not you, Meg. It's me.
Well, what else did you do? Did you do anything else, first of all?
I did some other things. I went to see Power Rangers, and that was an interesting movie. I didn't hate it.
I was not a Power Rangers child. I was very much Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. And it took me 20 years to discover Power Rangers.
You know, the funny thing about Power Rangers is, like, as a kid, I would have, like, pooped my Godzilla underpants just because, like, it's gigantic monster fighting with kung fu, basically.
Alpha, Rita's escaped. Assemble a team of teenagers with attitude.
How about you, Meg?
Well, I did a bit of a JB Hi-Fi haul, and I bought some DVDs.
DVDs of what?
I got Dyatlov Pass Incident, which I'd already watched, already rented on iTunes a while back. I really liked it. Didn't ever think about buying it on DVD until I found out that the DVD cover is holographic.
That's kind of like the reason why I bought 2014 Godzilla, was because the special edition, you push a button and it roars.
Get out, I need this.
It's
birthday present. Listeners, that's where you're gonna get me for my birthday.
Yeah, it was
my birthdays. My birthday is this weekend, I think.
Happy birthday!
Yay! And I also watched. I also got Ouija: Origin of Evil.
That's an amazing movie. Oh my god, is that an amazing movie? I know.
Everybody says it's like it's so much better than the first one. Everybody's saying that. Like, the first one was garbage, and the second one is just a flawless piece of cinema. It's
really good. I think if they added it, like, the historical aspect of it being set in the 60s makes it really good.
Yeah, I don't know. Like, horror movies that are period films always work.
Well,
like
because
The Conjuring, The Witch.
I think the reason why that works is because if you put it in a regular time frame like us now, it instantly becomes dated the second that movie comes out. But if you set it in, like, a time period...
Oh, yeah, because technology moves so fast.
Yeah, so if you put it in, like, the 80s, that's why Stranger Things works so well.
Yeah. And also because in the 80s, kids could just do whatever they wanted.
Yeah, they got knives from their dads from Vietnam, and they, you know, broke into government facilities.
Yep.
And Barb's still dead?
No, I'm Barb. I'm alive.
Okay, good.
I still have not posted a picture of my new glasses on Twitter. I need to.
You gotta send me a picture of this.
Or Instagram. Well, just find me. And also, I got Bad Boy Bubby, which I haven't watched yet, but I'm really excited to watch it because it is like the cult Australian weird cult movie.
You know, the sad thing is I know what you're talking about, but I've never seen it.
It's an icon of the Ozploitation genre, and I really need to watch it.
The Ozploitation genre.
Yeah, you know.
I feel like it involves a lot of, like, like fighting koala bears and gators and not
Well,
Crocodile Dundee?
They're just like exploitation movies made in Australia, generally. I mean, there is The Long Weekend where a dugong comes up out of the ocean and chases a guy into a tree, which was pretty funny. Yeah, exploitation is like Wolf Creek, 100 Bloody Acres, Mad Max, and then the last DVD that I bought was The Boy.
I thought that's all about the puppet, right?
I cannot say that in a normal voice because boy is just a funny word to me. It makes me think of that meme with SpongeBob where it's like, boy. You know the one?
Yeah.
Breathe in, boy.
Boy.
Yeah, boy is just a funny word. So I kind of couldn't take that movie seriously, but then I heard it was really good and I watched it and it's pretty good. Considering that guy's last film was The Devil Inside Me.
That movie was awful.
Yeah, which is like the worst horror movie of the past couple of years. And then he made The Boy, which was actually really decent.
He didn't. I don't think he also made Dead Silence. That was another director. Oh, no, wait, that was James Wan.
No, James Wan did Dead Silence.
Which was really good. But I think we should get to Hair Raisers.
Yes, I'm going to read the back. So unlike Goosebumps books, these don't have the little, fun one-liners. They just have stuff on the back. Medical science is after you, but don't let it get to your head. Another hair raiser from Lee Stryker. You've been standing here eyeballing this book and wondering whether this story's on the nose, right? Well, lend Margret Clark an ear, or take her hand, and she'll tell you a story about Australia as the world's body parts paradise. Doctors can now successfully transplant almost any part of the body. But where will the new body parts come from? Jane, Josh, and Jack find themselves in the middle of a brave new world of big business. Have you got the stomach for it?
No, I don't.
I thought you'd appreciate that one, because that's, more puns per sentence than any of the blurbs we've read for any other book.
Well, see, the difference between Margaret Clark and me is that I run on a pun commission. She probably doesn't.
What, so you charge people for puns?
No, I get paid by the penitentiary to perform puns.
Do you get paid per groan?
That's awesome. That's like a bonus.
The more people groan at your puns, the more you get paid.
Yeah, so come on, guys, keep groaning for me.
So let's talk about the cover. I don't know who does these illustrations. I'm going to look on the inside cover of my book. Okay. Cover illustration by David Legge.
Well, I guess you got the leg up on the situation.
Oh, God. I knew you were going to say it. That actually is so appropriate that it's called Body Parts and the guy's last name is... I'm assuming that is actually pronounced Leg. It's Legge.
Yeah.
Leg. David
Legge. So this cover is like the most 90s thing ever. It's like a very... If you guys have ever seen like a middle school textbook, this is almost like the exact type of drawings they would make on like your biology. So it's
honestly...
So it's like a very like cheesy looking skull basically in the middle of this book, and in the right side there's an eyeball floating in a jar of eyes. How ironic.
And around where it says Lee Stryker, Margaret Clark, hair raises, I like that the title Body Parts is holographic.
Yes, it's super shiny.
It is. It's super shiny. And so is Margaret Clark's name. And then under that it says Lee Stryker. And then under that it says hair raises. And then there's a little picture of a bat, but his wings are an open book. And I think that's pretty cool. And then they have like the ripped paper effect around the sides where the picture is in the middle.
It's like Halloween's Reading Rainbow.
It is. Spooky Rainbow.
Spooky Rainbow.
See the bat in the sky. I can go twice as high. And I don't remember the Reading Rainbow song after that.
Take a look. It's in a book. Spooky Rainbow. I can scream anywhere.
This is a very different experience to Goosebumps.
Oh my God, is this a different... Like, it kind of went from, okay, this is kind of like a Goosebumps ripoff to, oh my God, this book is amazing.
Yeah. Now, the thing that I am obviously biased in saying this because... I was a 90s child living in Australia, but Australia had some really good kids' books. Like, for some reason, in the 90s especially, because I'm not a child, I don't keep up with the local kids' literature now. I feel like what's being put out now is not as, they're not as given as free a reign as they were. I mean, people pay out on Australia for being, really censorship heavy now, but in the 90s, it wasn't like that at all. You had The Day My Bum Went Psycho, which in the Australian print has an actual photograph of a child's ass on the front cover of the book.
Yeah, because on the American one, it's The Day My Butt Went Psycho. It doesn't
and
have
it's a
that.
cartoon.
It's a cartoon.
It's a cartoony butt.
Yeah.
But on the Australian cover, it's an actual photograph of like a 4-year-old child's ass, which is kind of weird when you think about it for too long. Like, I would hope that was like the writer's own child, and they didn't just like get some kid and pay them to drop his pants in front of a green screen and have pictures of his ass taken. That would be really weird. And then you had Round the Twist with the infamous episode where Pete Twist's dick becomes a propeller and he uses his new power to win the swimming race at school.
What?
That was shown on television in this country.
Oh my god.
And I think on H2O Just Add Water, they said damn a couple times.
They didn't.
Yeah. Australia used to not be half as censorship obsessed as they are now. And it's quite sad to see how far we've gone backwards. Because, like, apparently in the... I've only watched Amazing World of Gumball online, but apparently in the version that they show on Cartoon Network in this country, and also in other countries in Asia, I think, as well, they cut out every single scene where somebody jumps out a window.
I wonder why.
Because they don't want kids to jump out windows, is a major theme in this book. And I found it funny that, like... Because Goosebumps, and to a certain extent, I mean, like, I don't know about the Fear Street books, but definitely Goosebumps. Goosebumps has always existed in this sort of asexual, apolitical universe where everything is spoopy skeletons and nothing hurts.
Nope, nothing politically can get to them.
So it's like, yeah, it's like, there's nothing, like, pressing happening in the world, and all bad things happen to you personally, and it's never anything other than, like, oh, a werewolf, or, oh, my dad's a plant, gets right into it. They address the political situation in Hong Kong.
Yes, because the rule of China from the British Empire is coming to an end. It's 1997.
This book was printed in 96. So I was trying to figure out whether that had actually happened at that point, or if people were just really afraid that it would happen.
No, I think it was 1997 was when it actually happened.
Okay. Yeah, so right off the bat, yeah, you got references to the Chinese taking Hong Kong back from the British. They make a reference to Hitler.
Yes, because they talk about blonde hair and blue eyes.
Yeah, and the kid's like, there was newsflash, Hitler tried to do that experiment too, and it didn't work for him. And it's like, whoa, there is a huge amount of, like, social awareness to this book that does not exist in Goosebumps. And I find that very refreshing, because I feel like kids, especially, like, the kids of the age that would be reading this, do have the capacity to ask questions about what's happening in the world, and to, like, have an understanding of history and social events.
Yes, and none of it actually plays, like, a significant... It's just, like, a thing that... Like, it's almost like reality.
We haven't even talked about the plot. Okay, so, first of all, Jane is a kid of an unspecified age who is at some grade in early high school, so 7th or 8th grade, probably, because that's the age that these kids always are in these books. She's got 2 annoying twin brothers who are younger than her. One is called Jack, and he loves surfing and hamburgers. And the other one is called Josh, and he's a big old nerd who's obsessed with the internet.
And pizza.
And pizza, yeah. He loves Hawaiian pizza.
Hey, I can back up this man.
You like Hawaiian pizza?
That's all I eat.
I swear it's some kind of conspiracy, because I hate Hawaiian pizza. I know a lot of people hate Hawaiian pizza, but it's somehow the most popular pizza topping in the entire country of Australia. So, Jane is a big fan of Lawyer Safe Goosebumps books. Her mom is a librarian.
Yes, not the stern librarian. She's the hip librarian who...
She's the cool librarian who gets you psyched about reading.
Yeah, because reading is radical cool.
No, see, as I explained in the Google Docs, unreal is what we said instead of radical.
So this is unradical.
Unreal. Which is the first word in this book, so you know it's going to be super 90s.
I feel like she'd have the posters like, read a book, get smart.
Read a book. Yes.
My favorite one they have in Gravity Falls, where it's the book reading the book, and it just says "read?" ?
So their dad is a grass salesman ?
Yeah. Yeah, he sells lawns, not the other type of grass.
Yeah, oh yeah, no. And he is in China planting grass because China has apparently run out of grass. Cannot confirm that actually happened in the 90s. May have just been a rumor spread by ignorant white people in Australia.
Yeah, no, I don't know, but I can imagine like in the suburban cities that could have been a problem.
Yeah, I mean, like, it's definitely not true because there are national parks in China. So he has gotten this sick new job with a guy called Mr. Chang.
Mr. Chang!
He's mysterious. He's mainly a property developer, and what he has been doing is digging up all of the graveyards to build housing developments over top of them, which I feel like is a chilling prophecy of things to come, the way Sydney is now.
That's almost also the premise to Poltergeist.
Also, Poltergeist, you know? You demolished the graveyard, but you didn't move the bodies!
Yeah, and then weird Chinese things start happening.
They go to Sydney. They have to go to Sydney, meet their dad and Mr. Chang.
Yes, because he doesn't want to drive all the way to where they live, which I don't know anything past Sydney in New South Wales. I'm so sorry.
They are probably from... I was trying to figure it out. Doesn't say how long they drove to get to Sydney, but because they are like beach people, I'm going to assume it's like Coffs Harbour or like Byron or somewhere.
Okay.
Like that. Which is like a big hippie town, so it works that their dad sells grass.
So it's like Seattle?
Yeah, but not as cold.
Oh.
They think they're gonna be moving to Sydney, possibly. And the mom is kind of upset about that, and the kids are upset because they don't want to leave their friends, and the Sydney traffic is really bad.
Is it really bad? Can you confirm?
Oh, definitely can confirm. It is as bad as LA traffic.
Say it ain't so.
So, this book is like, in the first bit of it, it's a little like, in the grand tradition of like most things that have ever been made in Australia, it's a little bit like low-key racist. Because I don't know why, but for some reason, Chinese people stealing organs is a trope.
I guess, there's the term, being Shanghaied. So...
Yeah, well, and then also there's this line where Josh goes, maybe he likes computers. Most Chinese people are good with technology.
Yeah, I saw that, and I was just like, I was groaning internally.
Really, Josh? Yeah. Do you know a Chinese person, Josh? Probably not, because you are from regional New South Wales. You have probably never seen an Asian.
So Josh is low-key racist?
Well, I think they all are, just because, as I said, regional Australia in the 90s.
Is that really their fault, or, should we put blame on them?
It's not their fault, it's society's fault.
So, Mr. Chang is like this really shady person who has like all these, business ventures, and he's come to Australia for a new one that doesn't involve, their dad for some reason, because, he just, grows grass.
But it does involve the dad somehow.
Yeah.
Couldn't really figure that out.
Until, do you, have, a list? Like, I have twins, they're identical, yep. How's that grass growing?
Maybe this is just, my assumption, but I feel like he's trying to continue. I know what his actual thing was, and we'll get into that later, but I feel like he's trying to, develop more property in Australia, which is quite common. A lot of Chinese property developers come down here and build stuff. They go and they take a limo with a driver who is repeatedly described as Frankenstein.
I'm sorry, it's Frankenstein. He doesn't like that.
No, well, we're both wrong. It's Frankenstein's monster, actually.
Yes, I know.
But in a way, Frankenstein truly was the monster for abandoning his creation.
Yes, we can totally get into an episode talking about how awesome Frankenstein's monster is.
Oh, man.
But, so this guy is like, his name's
Max, but you don't find that out until 10 pages before the end.
Yeah, so his name's Max. I feel like he's super buff dude that wears really tight suit with a little bowler hat.
I'm imagining him as Darla Dimple's butler from Cats Don't Dance.
I kind of...
Just a huge buff guy. Just ridiculously comically huge buff guy in a suit.
So he drives them around and they're looking at new developments.
They're looking at all the stuff in Sydney, and they get out at a cemetery. But they check out their new apartment.
Yeah, and his like Mr. Chang gave them a whole apartment. It's like 4 rooms and it's bigger than their house just for the couple nights.
Yeah. But then they're going through the boxes. The kids go through the boxes and Josh finds.
What does he find?
He finds something in the box and it looks like a human knuckle bone.
Oh my god.
Da 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 da.
Well, at least it's not Knuckles from Sonic.
Ow, the edge.
He's such an edgelord.
No, that's Shadow. I don't know anything about Sonic.
I don't know anything about Sonic either.
I pride myself on knowing nothing about Sonic.
So he finds this human knuckle bone, and it's like, look at this, it's kind of weird. Look at it, Jane. Look at it.
And the other 2 kids are telling him, like, oh, it's probably just...
fake. It's like
a part of something.
No, because they thought, like, maybe, Mr. Chang is making, like, a Halloween store. Like, that's his new, like, business venture.
There was no Halloween in this country in the 90s.
No, that's scary.
Halloween is a very American holiday. It did not catch on here until, like, 10 years ago.
Well...
And I don't really celebrate it because every day of my life is Halloween, so celebrating it is pointless.
High five.
So, they go shopping for a bit, and then... one of the funniest moments in this book is they go to an internet cafe. One of the kids tries to... these kids are basically interchangeable because they all have names that start with J.
Aren't they also called, like, the 3 J's?
Yeah, the dad calls them Triple J, which incidentally is also the name of my favorite radio station. Triple J. That's what the station IDs sound like. They're really annoying, but I love that station so much. They play the best music and there's no ads.
Radical.
They go into the internet cafe and they reference all of these like search engines that don't exist anymore. Like Netscape, Magellan, Asta Vista. And the only like real one that's still around is Yahoo.
I was just imagining that they get on it and they hear like the old ye olde modem scream. Today that's just as annoying. To them, it's like a symphony. We're getting on.
I feel like when I turned on the computer when I was a little kid, I didn't even think about that noise. I was just like, yeah, that's just the computer noise. In the same way that you just accept.
Your body parts are being stolen.
Yeah, the way that you just accept that, like, trucks beep when they back up. You just say, oh, the computer screams when I turn it on.
I want my computer to just, like, have, like, a blood-curdling screen when it boots up. Don't worry, guys. Just my computer booting up.
I want a computer with the Wilhelm scream every time you turn it on. It's like,
I love that.
Anyway, so one of the funniest moments in this book is they go online to try and search up some dirt on Mr. Chang. Well, actually, I think is just, like, on a Usenet forum or something, or whatever nerds did in the 90s.
Oh, no, I feel like he said that he read a lot of horror stuff, like, on the web.
No, Jane's the one that likes horror.
I feel like she reads, like, /v/ like, no sleep.
Yeah. I mean, if that existed in the 90s.
No, it probably didn't, but Reddit didn't exist.
Her as an adult definitely is a no-sleep contributor.
I feel like she also, like, would, like, shitpost all day. If she had a Tumblr, oh my god.
Jack decides to try and search up dirt on Mr. Chang, and obviously they don't know his first name, so he just puts Chang into the search bar, and then he goes, guess what? There's 47,834,280 Changs in the world, and then Josh goes, that's just web pages that have the word Chang on them.
But doesn't he also say that we won't have time to read all of them?
I know, and then he goes, I can't click on all of them, can I? I'll go to kids page instead, because if you're looking for information on body parts trafficking, the kids page will have it. Hey kids, learn about weird crimes going on in your local area.
The more you know. But you know what the weirdest thing about this book was when he suggested it to me?
What?
Well, we have this thing near our work where these people, like, almost like clockwork in springtime, they'll protest about body trafficking and organ trafficking. So I thought that this book was going to be a lot like that. It wasn't.
The mom and dad get into a few fights about the dad trying like too hard to impress Mr. Chang and doing everything that Mr. Chang says. I think at one point the mom says, well, fine, you live here. I'm going to take our kids and go back home. She's married to the library.
Yes. That's the wife of the librarian. The books.
So the kids all get dressed, and then they end up going out to dinner at a nice Chinese restaurant, where we are introduced to
Dr. Payne.
Which you know that your book is cheesy when, like, the characters are laughing at the tropes.
His name's
I'll read it here.
Payne.
Jack, Joss, and Jane tried not to laugh. Dr. Payne, what a stupid name for a doctor. It was as bad as a dentist who was called Dr. Blood, or a teacher who was called Miss Basham.
Okay, I don't get that. What's Basham?
Oh, like Basham. Like,
No, I don't.
oh my god, people don't say bash in the States? Like,
No.
Like getting bashed. Like, oh, those thugs jumped
Yeah,
me
okay,
and I got bashed.
we got that, but I don't get the whole thing of bash.
Yeah, Basham. She's named Miss Basham. She bashes the kids.
Ha 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 ha.
So Dr. Payne is described as just being really gorilla looking. And they don't ever say where he's from, but he is foreign. He's not Chinese, supposedly, but he says things like, this is what you Australians call X, so he's foreign, but they never say where he's from. And so he comes and joins this family at dinner, and right off the bat, he is the most, obviously suspicious mad doctor in anything I've ever seen, because he immediately, as soon as he sits down, starts interrogating the kids about whether or not they have any inherited medical conditions.
Yes, do you, have diabetes or anything that could affect me in your everyday life? And the mom's like, why are you asking all these questions? I don't know, it's fun. And she's like, okay.
The dad just rolls with it, but the mom is like, what are you asking my kids this for? What does this have to do with anything?
And he says just BS stuff and just
Yeah. And he lists all these diseases, and the next day they plan on going on a tour, and they have, the kids are all, Mr. Chang really orders them around. He's like, right, tomorrow we're gonna do this. You gotta be up at this time, and, you can't be late. My chauffeur's gonna pick you up. Be down in the lobby. He's really bossing these people around.
Yeah, because they're gonna go to a fun park.
Yes, the fun park! I was trying to think about it in the 90s. Which choices did you have? Was Magic Kingdom still open? Because now I can go on to a segue and talk about, the curse of Sydney's fun parks.
I can easily talk about some of those, because some of them are very interesting histories.
Wait, you know about them?
You've told me about them and I've researched them. I'm a person that loves theme parks and amusement parks.
Wonderland was still open in the 90s. I know because that was the greatest theme park ever, and I pretty much lived there. When I was a kid, I went there all the time. I used to ride the Beast, which was this big, old, wooden roller coaster that, in retrospect, was probably really unsafe, but I rode that thing all the time.
I love wooden roller coasters.
Magic Kingdom closed in the 90s, but it doesn't give an exact year. Magic Kingdom was the one that had to shut down because it was built on top of a swamp. Yeah, your choices for fun parks in Sydney at that time were Luna Park, Wonderland, which they reference by name, Best Theme Park, the only theme park, closed in 2004 for undisclosed reasons, and I'm really bummed out about that because I loved Wonderland so much. And Luna Park and Sega World, maybe Fox Studios, but I don't think Fox Studios had any rides. Yeah, so they're gonna go to a fun park, right? And then, unexpectedly, they end up not going to a fun park.
No, they end up in an office complex.
They go into a doctor's office, and Dr. Payne instructs the twin boys to strip down to their underwear, to which Jack replies, "Are you some kind of pervert or something?" Stranger danger.
No, this is extreme stranger danger.
Extreme stranger danger, and I don't know why the parents were not more suspicious of this man.
Well, he wasn't there.
Oh, that's right. Did they just think that Dr. Chang was taking them?
Yeah, because they were going to go
Mr. Chang.
They were going to go to the fun park.
So they go to Dr. Payne's office, and over the next few days, Dr. Payne does experiments on them.
No, it's only the one day.
Well, over the course of that day, Dr. Payne does experiments on them, and then he plants fake memories into their mind of going to the fun park and shows their parents doctored photos of them at the fun park.
Yes, but the weird part about this is one of the experiments is he switches the brains. It was just what's the point of it? They still look the same. Nothing really changed all that much.
Well, I think it was just to see if you could move the organs around.
Oh, yeah, I suppose.
Just to see what could be done by science. So, they go back I think Jane is the first one to realize it because she was not experimented on to the degree that the twins were. She notices that something is wrong because Jack wants pizza and Josh wants hamburgers.
But the pictures don't add up. There's one question I have to ask you that was like an Australian question, I'm pretty sure. What's fairy floss?
Fairy floss is cotton candy.
Oh, okay, because they have all the pictures like Mr. Chang's eating fairy floss, and they're laughing, and they're having a good time.
It's cotton candy, and in the UK, it's called candy floss.
I didn't know that.
And in Canada, it's called something else. Pretty much every country has a different name for it.
Yep, good old cotton candy.
So, Jane recognizes that all of the pictures are fake, and she resolves to get to the bottom of this.
So they go to the office complex they find through a series of the pictures. Because they kept, for some stupid reason, they kept going to, like, famous monuments. Because they go to the taxi driver and they ask him, hey...
I guess they just, like, took pictures of the street names?
I guess, yeah. So because they take it to the taxi driver, like, oh, I know this place. As all taxi drivers do. So they get...
Yeah, the taxi driver helps them.
Yeah, so then they get there, and then they find the office, and then they get into it, and then they see the room filled with all the body parts and the jars.
The parts... pantry.
Yeah, the parts pantry.
Literally what it's called.
The parts pantry? Yeah, it's when Mr. Chang and Dr. Payne like, oh, well, this is awkward. What are you guys doing here? And then that's when they get captured.
He is preparing to... He removes some of the organs from the twins, and he is preparing to do something to them to make sure that they can survive without those organs, because what his eventual plan is that with Mr. Chang is digging up all of the cemeteries and then giving the bodies to Dr. Payne, and Dr. Payne is trying to revive them from the dead. And the funniest thing about this plan is the way that he said, the reasons that he says for doing it is that, do you have a grandmother or grandfather who's passed away? Wouldn't you like to see them again? And the kids kind of remember their granddad and think about how good it would be if he came back. And then he says, but of course, there will be other people who don't have any families to remember them, and them, we'll just sell those undead creations as cheap slave labor. So if you want them, you take them, but if you don't want them, they're gonna go work in the mines.
Yep, and my diamond mines, because that's my next business venture.
More like the coal mines, because
China's plentiful in coal?
No, Australia is plentiful in coal, and the government loves coal. Government is best friends with coal. So his experiments with the twins are just like proof of concept that you can reanimate tissue without a brain. Unless Jane helps them construct their first undead creation, he is threatening to kill the twins. And this is where Margaret Clark shows her lack of knowledge about science. There is no such thing as ultra blue light. Ultra blue light would be green light, right?
Yeah, because it's not...
Because green comes before blue on the spectrum. No, it was infra blue. That was it. It was infra blue.
Yeah, the funny thing about this, though, was that they're talking about, like, they're just two slabs of, like, the twins' meat. Like, it gets to the point where you just feel like they're, like, just flesh. You think we took half of their brains and put them together.
Yeah, there's some body horror in this book.
And then it's like, oh, yeah, then we put their kidneys together. It's almost like Reanimator and how... Yeah. It's almost... I think David Cronenberg, I think this would be a good David Cronenberg movie.
Yeah, if David Cronenberg was going to make a kid's movie, Body Parts would be that movie. Because I'm 7 years old, I have dog-eared the page with the dicks on it.
Oh, that part.
I was very amused by that. Is number 17 a male then? Asked Jane. Yes, see the wider chest cavity. Oh, hang on, there's an important bit missing. I didn't see any spare ones of those in your parts pantry, said Jane, hoping Dr. Payne wouldn't take it into his head. And then on the next page, Mr. Chang peered at the scanner. It seems to be in order. Said Jane. He hasn't got he hasn't got a willy. A small detail. I will graft one on afterwards. He will not need testicles. He won't be reproducing.
This isn't a kid's book.
This is a kid's book.
This is a kid's book.
For kids. Good, wholesome children's literature about organ transplants and dicks.
So then the weirdest thing happens. Max explodes.
This book loses its mind in the last 10 pages. First Max explodes.
Yeah, so Max explodes because he turns out to be a flesh robot?
Yeah, they say that he's not made of flesh, but he is it's like very flesh-like plastic, and he does bleed, but it's not like blood, it's like fake blood.
Fake oil, so it's like Short Circuits 2, where like, number 5 starts bleeding oil.
This is the sound that I make every time Zack references a movie. Whoosh. So, and then the weirdest thing that could ever possibly happen in this book happens. So they are constructing a being out of the body parts that they brought over from China. And the creature begins speaking in Chinese. I better just read this because it's going to sound really, like, it's going to sound fake if I just say it. I'm going to read it word for word.
Nonsense if you don't read this.
It is going to sound like it's going to sound like a joke. Okay. Number 17 went berserk. He didn't like being called stupid. He gabbled something angrily at Dr. Payne. Good heavens, he says he's not stupid. He's extremely bright. He's an ancient philosopher named Confucius, said Mr. Chang, staggering to his feet. We've recreated Confucius, the Chinese genius. Zombie Confucius.
And then he starts speaking English.
No, you are evil, said Confucius in English. I must destroy you for the noble name of China and all the good Chinese people who do not want to be reanimated. They wish their bones to be left alone and to rest in peace.
This is where this book became absolutely amazing.
Yes.
Like, this book started off bad, but then you get Zombie Confucius, and, like, at the same time, there's, like, body horror from both.
Exploding robots, body horror, dick jokes, Zombie Confucius killing people.
So then Confucius basically murders Dr. Payne. Like,
yes, and this is really hardcore. This is, like, on the same level of the descriptions of the deaths in Final Grade, which was aimed at an older age group than this book. So this book is pretty hardcore. The creature went insane. It grabbed Dr. Payne by his scrawny neck and hurled him against the bench. He slumped to the floor, blood gushing from a deep cut on his head. Part of his brain began to ooze out. So Zombie Confucius throws him at a bench so hard that his skull cracks open.
Yes, because, he's tired of just being them fortune cookies and being misquoted.
For kids!
Oh, and then at the same time, the twins actually get reconstructed. So for some reason they have like a laser that heals all the scars and stuff. And at the same time, they're again have fake memories of being at like the fun park. So they have no clue what's going on as like murders being taken place. And I'm going to read my favorite line of this book. I read this book this morning and I died laughing when I saw this. So just picture this. Oh, Josh moaned, his eyeballs popping out of his head. Where am I? This isn't the fun park. This is horrible. Get me out of here. It's so bad.
To which Jack replies, this is the worst haunted house I've ever been in.
I just imagine his eyeballs popping on his corneas and he's just like running around. He's like
what, like a cartoon character? Yeah. Like what? Boing.
Yeah, that's pretty much it. It made me laugh so hard.
At one point in this book, someone uses the phrase, I couldn't find the page, but at some point in this book, someone uses the phrase spack attack?
Spack attack?
Which must be a Victorian thing, because I have never heard that used in my life. I had to Urban Dictionary it. It just is it's a different variation on spaz attack.
Spack attack? Yeah, so then Confucius decides to burn down the place because, it's, I guess, good to remain dead.
Which makes this is the worst haunted house I've ever been in line a little bit like black comedy, because there was a very famous incident of the ghost train at Luna Park being set on fire.
Yeah, and then
in the 70s. And so part of me was like, ooh, too soon.
Maybe she just didn't know.
No, that happened in the 70s. It was like, I guess I don't actually mean it was too soon. I just saying too soon.
Maybe that she didn't know.
Maybe she didn't. Maybe it was an accident.
Yeah.
Sometimes you reference things. So if this book had been written before that happened, I would have been like, Illuminati confirmed.
But it wasn't. So they burned down the place, and the twins and Jenna decide to leave. Jane. There's 1,000 J's in this, so I'm gonna call her Genevieve while we're at it. Actually, that's a G. So whatever. Yeah. I'm fine. But they get out of the place, it's burning down, and they're like, wow, gee whiz, well, we should take a taxi home. So they get in the taxi, and man, we still have some money left. Do you guys want to get food? What do you guys want? You guys are perfectly fine now. And what did they get, Meg? What do they want?
Well, said Jack slowly, I really fancy some crumbed brains and kidneys. Yeah, I'd like some lungfish and maybe some liver, said Josh. That's when Jane knew that things weren't back to normal after all.
And then they got back, and their dad decided to devote his life to, growing more grass. And their mom decided to marry a library.
Yes. So, overall, thoughts?
Holy crap, this book was amazing. Oh my god. Like, the beginning of this book was awful, but then, like, the ending just made this book, like, completely, like, readable.
Yeah. I really enjoyed this one. I appreciate, like, the attempts at maturity, because I really do respect children's authors who, like, assume that kids can handle some more, like, real stuff.
Yeah, especially with this book. It's basically Reanimator meets Big Trouble in Little China.
Yeah.
So that's like the best way to put it. And it worked. Everything was it was paced well enough where it was still bad, but you were like aware that it was.
And you would not think that this book was that good, having read the description of it on Margret Clark's insane 20-year-old website.
I looked at that website and I can't figure out, like, I think she only wrote a couple books and gave up, and then that was it.
I think there's like 10 of these.
Yeah, but I'm like saying after like 10 books she just gave up and like she couldn't compete with R.L.
Well,
stuff.
she's got other things that she wrote. Like she's written non-horror stuff as well.
Where are you? We need to find you. We need to talk to you. Please.
I'm going to try and get her on. If anybody listening to this podcast lives in Geelong, Victoria, and knows Margret Clark personally, please send her a link to this show.
We will gladly ask you questions about how amazing
we would
your book.
love to have her on. Anyway, speaking of sending things, do we have any listener correspondence this week?
We actually do, from my friend Daniel. So here's the listener question. Has there been a time when something bad happened to a character you thought, gosh, that isn't all that bad. If I was the villain, I would have done something worse? I can answer this because I thought about this one quickly. No, I thought about this, and I believe that for me, I would just say it would have to be like, you know, Andy and what was the other kid's name in Monster Blood? Kevin. In Monster Blood.
You want her to murder Evan?
Yeah, I want her to murder.
Me too.
I think that would have been even better.
That would have been a great ending for Monster Blood.
Just because, like, he's just really stupid and mean, and
he is.
It's either that or like, actually, no, I take it back. I think Scott should have died. Like, he should have been eaten by Monster Blood from Final Grade.
If I was Scott in Final Grade, I wouldn't have, like, made myself known as fast as I did. I would have, like, you know, not called Lily on the phone and given her clues to my identity. I would have just kind of, like, kept doing the murders a little bit. You know
what actually I thought would have been funnier or a worse way for Scott to actually get caught? Was that it was actually Winona Ryder.
Yeah, and he's Christian Slater, and it's Heathers.
Yeah.
So what are we reading next week?
So next week, we're going to be going back to our roots with Goosebumps. We're going to read the book that Ryan Gosling started it all with Say Cheese and Die.
Dun, dun, dun. Oh, so good. We did that at the exact same time.
Thanks, guys, for listening to this wonderful episode. Meg, where can they find you?
You can find me at Meg Chuden on Twitter. That's at MEGTUTEN. Or you can find me at sodasodabanana.tumblr.com.
You can find me at nightmareandfearstreet@gmail.com, or you can even tweet us at nightfearstreet. If you want to find me personally, you can find me at Suda41. Thanks, guys, for listening to another wonderful episode. Any advice, Meg, on if you ever turn into a Confucius zombie?
Just don't, if you're coming to Sydney, don't take your car because the traffic's awful. Please use the public transport. It's not very good, but it is better than being stuck on Parramatta Road for 9,000 hours.
Yes. For me, just don't blow up as a robot. And also, as if I'm Confucius, that's kind of cool.
Confucius say this episode is over.
Thank you, guys. I'm Zach.
And I'm Meg.
And stay spooky. Bye.